Welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, July 10. The island is all set to welcome its commercial flight from Canada on Sunday. Word of this from Home Affairs Minister Edmund Hinkson as he today provided an update on the government's online embarkation and disembarkation card, which he says is designed to ensure that Barbadians and travellers here remain safe. Travellers are required to declare the results of their COVID-19 tests at least 24 hours before arriving.
We are strongly recommending that travellers to Barbados do a COVID-19 test within 72 hours of arrival here. And the results of that test as well would be digitally submitted to the authorities or emailed to the authorities. And we're also asking you to walk with the physical results of that test for now as well. When you submit this online disembarkation card to the authorities, by obviously at the end, after you've completed, by clicking the button, you will get two receipts coming back to you, a receipt which would be for immigration and a receipt for customs.
He assured that appropriate measures are being put in place to ensure that a traveller's COVID-19 test is accurate, including that government reserves the right to have persons take a COVID-19 test here when they arrive.
Anyone who does not bring with them a negative COVID-19 test, either on their mobile phone, the physical results test, or will be required to do it here. And we have that system in place. It can be done at the airport without cost, or if you opt to go to a designated hotel, the Hilton and the Crane are two of them, you would have to pay for that there, and the test can be done there. And you will not be allowed to go into general circulation and to move in Barbados until the results of that test are returned, showing that you are negative.
In other news this Friday, the two young men forced to clean up a major stretch of the island's beaches after they were caught in the act of illegal dumping last Sunday are making good progress. Public Relations Officer of the Sanitation Service Authority, Carl of PADMORE, provided this update.
They have been able to clear over 3 skips of garbage over the last 2 days. And they have been turning up to work on time based on our investigation.
The Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strong, today made a case for Barbados and other Caribbean states to access concessional financing based on their vulnerability to climate change and other disasters. Strong was addressing an online UN high-level political forum on the theme of mobilizing well-directed financing on Friday.
Our development is not necessarily at the expense of others. And therefore, we would want to see a very focused approach in terms of addressing the key elements of vulnerability so that the access to financing and the basis on which you're accessing financing will be determined, in a sense, by that measure of vulnerability.
Family, friends, and the media fraternity today celebrated the life of former publisher and respected business journalist Patrick Hoyos. In a moving service at the Coral Ridge Garden, he was remembered not only as the consummate professional, but a loving, committed father, husband, and friend. His best friend, Tony Cumberbatch, told the audience, which included Prime Minister Mia Mottley and members of her cabinet, that Patrick was simply a good man.
As a journalist, Pat was not afraid to ask the hard question. If you didn't like it, the follow-up was even harder. Nor did he hesitate to speak his mind. He would let you know exactly what he thought, be you his peer or CEO of a large and powerful company. Sometimes, admittedly, when the Hoyos temper kicked in, he was a little too quick off the handle. For all that, Pat was just a nice guy. He was kind and generous to his friends, and especially to those who worked for him. He did not know how to be ruthless in business. I once said to him, Pat, you could be anything you want in life, but not a businessman. You're too nice. And his reply was, you too.
Childhood friend and longtime colleague Vic Fernand said he was touched by the former publisher of the Broad Street Journal and Who's Who in Business, who lived a life of excellence.
John Lennon said it best in his 1980 song, Beautiful Boy. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. I'm truly honored to have been asked by the Hoyos family to pay tribute to this brilliant yet humble man. My life has been enriched through knowing him.
In sports, England are under huge pressure in the opening test after the West Indies took a first-inning lead of 114 on day 3 in Southampton. From 57-1 overnight, the tourists were eventually bowled out for 318, with Craig Brathwaite making 65, Shane Dowrich 61, and Roston Chase 47. In their second innings, England reached 15 runs, a deficit of 99.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, Guyana's Chief Election Officer, Keith Lowenfield, failed to meet the deadline set by the Guyana Elections Commission Chairperson, Claudette Singh, for the submission of a report on the results of the March 2 elections. We get the details in this report from Newsroom Guyana.
He wrote to the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission asking her for clarity on the letter that she had written to him. He said he did not understand the letter and he wanted to know which report exactly she was asking him for in keeping with the ruling of the CCJ. Now, the CCJ ruling is important because the ruling has set aside a ruling by Guyana's Court of Appeal, and in so doing, it also set aside the report submitted to the Guyana Elections Commission on June 23rd by Mr. Lowenfield himself. In that report, Lowenfield again did not obey the instructions of the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission when she asked him to submit his report based on the figures from the national vote recount. Those figures show a victory for the opposition People's Progressive Party. Instead, Mr. Lowenfield submitted a report in which he disenfranchised over 115,000 voters to hand the incumbent APNU AFC majority victory. Now, with the CEO asking the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission for clarity, the meeting today adjourned with the commission offering, the chairman rather, offering that clarity to Mr. Lowenfield. Mr. Lowenfield would have to respond by 11 tomorrow with the elections report that the chairman and the Guyana Elections Commission has asked him for.
On the international front, an advance team from the World Health Organization has left for China to organize an investigation into the origins of the novel coronavirus, which sparked the global pandemic. More from Francis Maguire of Reuters Television.
A team from the World Health Organization is on its way to China to set up an investigation into the origins of the new coronavirus. The virus is believed to have emerged in the Chinese city Wuhan late last year, after jumping from the animal kingdom to humans. 2 WHO experts will work with Chinese scientists to plan out the upcoming investigation. WHO spokeswoman Margaret Harris.
One of the big issues that everybody's interested in, and of course that's why we send an animal health expert, is to look at whether or not it jumped from species to a human and what species it jumped from. We know it's very, very similar to the virus in the bat, but did it go through an intermediate species? So this is a question we all need answered.
President Donald Trump and US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo claimed it may have originated in a Wuhan laboratory, but they did not present evidence for this, and China strongly denies it. Scientists and US intelligence agencies have said it emerged in nature.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.